Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV and welcome to another episode of the Chelsea Fan TV podcast. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the likes on the video, subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV if you haven't done so already, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. And it's been the international break. That's finally done. It's been a pretty dead week. Chelsea players have been in action. A few good performances from certain players. Kovacic getting on the score sheet a few times. Enzo scoring for Argentina. Had Pulisic doing a bit as well. Lukaku with 4 goals. Maybe that adds a bit of value to his transfer fee in the summer. But Lewis, how have you found the international break, mate? I mean, it was probably quite nice to get away from Chelsea for a little bit, but it's been pretty boring.
It's just been a bit of a break for me. I won't lie, I haven't watched any international football. Even watching England was a bit of a struggle because it just don't hit the same. It doesn't hit the same. I feel like the break was needed because it's been a stressful couple months following Chelsea, even if the form has been a little bit better over the last few games. But yeah, just days have gone by and life has happened and everything, and I'm just waiting for Chelsea to come back.
Yeah, I mean, mate, we'll be back on Saturday, and obviously, you know, we've got 9 games this month, probably 8 because the United one will be rescheduled because that's FA Cup semi-final weekend, so we probably have a game less this month than we expected, which probably is quite helpful for us. But let's dive into the news, and obviously, we don't need to touch on it too much, but Thomas Tuchel replaced Julian Nagelsmann at Bayern Munich, and there have been some reports suggesting that there are people at Chelsea who admire Nagelsmann, and he would be a target if the club decided not to continue with Graham Potter. What do you think of that news? And what are your thoughts on Nagelsmann? Because do you think he would be a good fit at Chelsea? Is he someone that you feel that he's available, we should do whatever it takes to get him? Or where do you stand with it all?
I'll just take anyone over Potter at this rate. I'll be real, Nagelsmann I think would make better decisions, better lineups, all of that sort, but I don't know if he's the manager we're looking for either. Like, I don't think he's won anything at an elite level, like in terms of league titles. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments.
Just got Bundesliga with Bayern last season.
Did he win the Bundesliga?
Yeah,
the year before. The year before. Okay. So he's won a trophy. Fair enough to him. My question is more the man management. Because I've seen a lot of fallouts between him and senior members of the squads, like the likes of Lewandowski. I think there was something with Muller. I think there was something with Neuer. There was something with Mane, apparently, just before he got sacked. That would be my question mark with Nagelsmann. Can he manage big egos? Because I'm not too sure about that. Everything else, fair play. I think he'd be a much better bet for us to invest in terms of a long-term project than Graham Potter, for example. I'd literally just take anybody at this point because my faith has completely eroded in him. But everything else, I do think he'd be a quality manager. I do question his man management. I think that's something that you really need at the top level. But in terms of the options that are out there, he probably still looks like one of the better ones.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Definitely looks like one of the better ones. I kind of share similar concerns to you as well. And I also think that, like, you know, if that did happen and you see a lot of Chelsea fans, oh, yeah, we should get Nagelsmann and stuff, like, okay, fine. Let's say he comes in, but like, are we going to still then have the same issue, which is as soon as we lose a few games, which we will lose a few games if we change a manager because the problems aren't just going to disappear, we're then going to be like, oh, this guy needs to go. He's not good enough. When does that cycle of, you know, saying that a manager's not good enough after we lose a few games, when's that going to end? Because otherwise, you just go round and round in circles. The guys will be like, get Nagelsmann. We lose a few games. Oh, shit. We need someone else. Like, until there's fundamentally a mindset shift in a lot of Chelsea fans, then we're just going to keep going round in circles, regardless of who the manager is. There has to be, at some point, there's got to be some patience in some sort of process that we have to trust someone to take us through a bit of a shit period before things get better again.
It all depends on the situation. Like, I understand what you're saying about the fickle nature of some fans. I can only speak for myself, though.
Yeah.
Personally, it always takes me a while to turn on a manager. Potter's the only one that I think I've turned on while he's still been in the job. Like Lampard, it took me till about Leicester away, but that was the game before he got sacked where I was like, nah, Lampard needs to go. I don't think he's the one. Other than that, Sarri are back to the end. Conte are back to the end. Mourinho are back to the end. Tuchel, I think a lot of us did.
Yeah.
Ancelotti, Di Matteo, like, he didn't have a lot of time anyway. It all depends on the fan. Like, I understand why people don't want to trust Potter. He's not showing anything. I haven't seen a single player improve under Potter. Literally nobody has improved in about 6 to 7 months. I've even seen people say Kepa, for example. I don't think Kepa's improved under Potter. I think Mendy's just got so bad that Kepa's now better by default. Doesn't really mean there's been a lot of improvement. There's game management's not good enough. He's not good enough in the press conference. There's nothing. I understand you need to be patient with a manager, but a manager needs to show you something.
Yeah, for sure. No, I do agree on that, and I think like I've backed Potter a lot more than most have. But I do agree. Like I want it to work out for him. Of course, I do, because if it works out for him, it means it works out for Chelsea, and things have gone well. But you also, as a fan, you've got to have something to hold on to, some sort of hope on some sort of light at the end of the tunnel that you can see that things are actually improving. It'd be like you go each week and you'd be like, right, okay, we may not have picked up the best result, but you can see clear patterns of play. You can see clear links between the team. You can get like a clear idea of what we're looking to do. And you don't always get that at the moment. I think there have been some positive improvements, not massive, but there have been improvements in terms of we seem to be scoring a lot more goals now. I know the bar was low because we went through that February month where we scored once, but we are scoring goals now. The last few games we scored a couple at least in each of them. All right, we haven't managed to keep them out so well, but there are some signs of improvement. But I do get what you're saying, that like just because we've won 3 games and just because we're unbeaten in 4 in March doesn't suddenly mean that the pressure's not on Graham Potter and it suddenly means everything's all right. This is really where he gets judged. We head into this big month in April. We've got Arsenal away. We've got, well, not United, that'll be rescheduled, but we've got the Madrid games, we've got Wolves away, we've got Brighton and Brentford at home, Villa at home, all teams that are either level on points of us or ahead of us. These are the games that you're going to be judged on. And I still think he's got the rest of the season, because making a change now is kind of pointless. But in the summer, if things don't improve, like in these next set of fixtures against teams we need to be beating to try and move up the table, then there could be a different decision to make. So he's definitely not out of the woods, in my opinion. But let's move it forward to transfer news. Summer window not a million miles away. There's been a few links with midfielders this week. The likes of Manu Toney from Mönchengladbach, and obviously Romeo Lavia as well. And then there's been a few with Declan Rice, though Arsenal reportedly could be favourites for him. I mean, out of those kind of 3 names, mate, Lavia, Toney, Rice, and etc., which one kind of ticks the most boxes for you? Who would you like to see come if it was one of those 3?
It needs to be 2. This is my thing. It can't even be 1. If you ask me to pick 1 outright, I'd say Lavia, just because we really need a pure DM first and foremost. But I want Lavia and Toney, personally. Give me both of them. Lavia, Toney, Enzo, that would be our midfield for the next 5-6 years.
Just on that, does it not worry you? I know they're good young players for sure, and they fit into the kind of the age that the owners are looking to invest in the squad and whatnot. Would it not slightly concern you that there's kind of a lack of experience and a lack of know-how in that midfield? I know Enzo's obviously very good, but he's 22. Toney, similar age or just a bit younger. Lavia still 19. Lack of experience worry you in that midfield? Did you think these guys are good? They can make the step up? Because I look at them, very good players, very high potential, but they're not players that are going to come in and make a massive difference straight away to that midfield. It is going to take them time, and fans will have to be patient with them as well.
Yeah, but I'd be fine with it, because like we're saying, it's a process. Even if I don't trust the manager, I can trust where the club is going. And if you build a young squad and you keep them for a long period of time, they're going to grow and build an experience together, and they're going to be more of a unit. I get what you're saying, but that's also why you keep the likes of a Kovacic, you keep the likes of a Kante if you can, so you have the experience there. But that is our midfield for the future, in my opinion. You've got Lavia as the sitter, you've got Toney as the box-to-box, and you've got Enzo with the license to roam a bit further forward and do his magic. 3 brilliant roles, stylistically suit each other so well. That would be our midfield. And yeah, you know what? You could ask questions about experience. That's fine. I don't expect us to win the league next season.
Yeah.
I want us to be in a much better position, maybe contend for it. That would be great. that should be our aim every season, to be contending for a league title. But I still wouldn't think we'd win it. Not necessarily. So that would be fine. It's about seeing massive improvements in the squad, not small improvements, massive improvements. And I think that midfield does that. We've seen young teams before, and they've gone and contended for a league title, like the Tottenham side under Pochettino, Wenger's side in the noughties, for example. They're very young squads. Even the Arsenal team now, it's a very young squad, and they're still competing at that level. So yeah, I'd be fine with that. I would be fine with it. Plus, they'd all be relatively cheaper. Like, I think Enzo, I think Lavia and what's his name, Kone,
yeah,
they probably cost as much as what one Declan Rice costs you. And if you get Rice, you're still looking for a deep sitter.
Yeah, I mean, I think also, you know, I mean, personally for me, I'd love to get Declan Rice along with a Kone or a Lavia. I think what might help us out as well is that if West Ham or Southampton go down, that means the price is going to drop as well. And they're going to have to just accept that. So maybe if Southampton do get relegated, Lavia becomes even cheaper. I think Lavia would probably end up being more expensive than Rice or in the same region, just because Rice is going to have 1 year left on his contract when we get to the end of this season. So how much can West Ham really demand for him? I'm not really sure. But I mean, would you not be keen for Declan Rice? Are you a fan of his, or do you just think the other two suit him better? I mean, if we went Rice and Kone and didn't get Lavia, does that still please you, or do you think, you know, Rice is not quite what we're looking for?
I've got no issue with Declan Rice signing. I've always said, though, for the price tag, I just don't think it's worth it, because I still think he lacks a bit progressively. I think he's just more of a box-to-box midfielder, and he's great at that role. Like, fair enough. I just don't think he's worth about 75, 80 million or the price like that. You could get Kone in, who's already averaging the highest dribbles per 90 out of all the midfielders in the Bundesliga, is defensively sound, does need to improve his progressive passing as well, but he's younger and he's cheaper, so that would come with more patience. I don't mind Rice coming, but I think if you're looking at the price tag, it's not really as appealing to me as getting a Kone, for example. Kone's younger, the ceiling is still as high as Declan Rice's, and you're getting basically the same player. Basically the same.
Yeah, no, I heard what you're saying. I think, yeah, let's wait and see what happens on Declan Rice. I think there's a lot more teams interested now. Chelsea's still an option, obviously, but it just depends. I think a lot may depend on what happens with Mason Mount. I think a lot depends on whether he's happy to wait a season for Champions League football, or he wants it instantly. There's a lot of factors in there. But you know, we definitely need to add two. And to be honest, I'd be happy with any two of those three from the list, really. But if we move it forward to centre forwards now, obviously, you know, Fabrizio saying in the week that, you know, Chelsea are one of a number of big clubs that are interested in Victor Osimhen. Let's start with him first. Obviously, having a very good season with Napoli, doing great stuff. My only issue is two things. One, he's going to cost over 100 million, which I don't know if that's really what we should be looking to be doing. And two, whilst he's a different kind of centre forward to Lukaku, he's doing all the things in Serie A that Lukaku was doing in Serie A that we were all getting excited about for Lukaku. So, you know, and Lukaku had already done it in the Premier League. We don't know if Osimhen could do it in the Premier League. I mean, I like him. He's a great player. He reminds me of Drogba a bit. But for that money, I'm just thinking maybe we could be a little bit smarter in the market. I mean, do you think spending over 100 million on Osimhen is what we should be doing?
Depends, because I like the player. I think he's a great finisher, can hold up the ball well. I question his build-up play, because from what I've seen with Napoli, they don't really involve him too much in the build-up play. And I feel like you need someone that is able to press from the front, is able to contribute a little bit more, especially if we are going to keep a Graham Potter. That's like the main reason why he continuously plays Havertz up top over anybody else. The ideal one, though, is Toney. We really need to see what happens with this betting situation. I need to know when they're actually going to have a verdict and then just give him whatever punishment he's got.
I mean, just on that,
a lot of people's windows are relying on it. Sorry.
Just quickly, mate. Sorry. Do you think the fact that he's actually made his England debut now, do you think that they maybe know something that we don't, because I think a lot of people felt that he wasn't picked for the World Cup squad because of that betting stuff. Now, I mean, I could be wrong here, could just be kind of purely speculating, but do you think the fact that maybe he's now made his England debut, maybe that slightly changes things and there may be a more positive outcome to the situation? I mean, I don't really know.
I don't know either. Like, I'm trying to find it out for myself, but I guess it's a positive, but it's still like over 250 charges.
It's a lot of charges.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's just, as long as it's not a suspension, I think like we should be throwing all of our money into the Ivan Toney conversation, because that guy is the ideal signing for us. He can get involved in build-up play. He's dominant in the air, bullies defenders. He took the mick out of Saliba when they went to the Emirates. Absolutely spent all game bodying him. Makes goals, scores goals. He can score penalties. Everything we need. Everything we need in the striker is right there.
No, I
if
agree.
He's not suspended, put everything into him. So I want you spending 100 million plus on him, not on Osimhen. If not, maybe we'll look at Osimhen, maybe we'll look at Vlahovic. But for me, right now, I need Toney. Anyone who's getting Ivan Toney is locked off. It's locked off.
Yeah.
If Liverpool get him, it's long. If Arsenal get him, it's long. If we get him, we're actually going to have a good striker for the first time in ages.
Yeah, first time in a long time. I mean, he ticks all the boxes. You know, I've been banging on about it for a long time that Chelsea do need to be putting the eggs in the Ivan Toney basket, making sure that we do all we can to obviously to bring him to the bridge. He's the physique that, you know, or the profile of striker that we've had most success with in recent years, in terms of he's in that mold like Drogba to a degree, like Costa, kind of a physical presence, but you know, he links the play out well. He can score all types of goals. Helps that he's played in the league before, not an essential, but it does help that. And you see the fact that, you know, he's scoring a lot of goals in a Brentford side that obviously having a very good season, but don't necessarily create a massive amount of chances. And you think with playing with a much higher caliber of player around him would elevate his game to another level as well. I mean, how much do you think he would cost? Because, I mean, I don't know what his contract situation is, but we're talking, he's going to cost it. He's going to be, for me, we're looking at probably 70, 80 million pounds.
I'd think about a bit more.
Really?
70 to 100 potential. Well, it depends on the situation. Yeah. Suspension could potentially lower it. Maybe a big fine could potentially lower it as well, because that will probably come with the player. But whatever the price tag is, pay it. He's done it in the Premier League. His profile is so wide ranged. I think it majorly suits us. We have been dying in this position, a slow and painful death, for about the last 5 years. Do it. Whatever the price tag is. Like Osimhen, I'd question past 100 million. Because he does need a bit of time to adapt. I don't know what he's like in build-up play. Ivan Toney, pay and don't speak. Jose Mourinho vibes. Just put the money on the table, don't say anything, and just walk off with the player.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I mean, we'll have to wait and see kind of what happens on that one. But I certainly do agree that, you know, he should be the guy that we are looking at. So let's kind of wait and see what happens with that one. I mean, let's throw it forward then. We've got a very busy month coming up. 9 games, potentially 8 with the United one, most likely to be rescheduled to a midweek because of FA Cup semi-final weekend. We've got Aston Villa at home on Saturday, 5:30 kickoff. They're actually level on points with us. We're only 10th on goal difference. We've got the same amount of points as them. Unai Emery, since he's come in, has done a very good job. I've seen earlier that since Emery's come in, only Arsenal have picked up more points than Villa, which is quite something. And it's going to be tough. Obviously, we went up to Villa Park and we beat them 2-0 earlier in the season when Gerrard was still in charge. But even then, I think we didn't play particularly well. And we just, you know, a great Mount free kick and we capitalised on a mistake from Mings. Didn't play that well. So it's going to be a tough task. I mean, before we kind of look ahead to April and stuff, mate, what are your thoughts heading into this Villa game? Because it's another game at home. You know, it's 3 days before we play Liverpool at home as well. Do you think, I mean, we're not really in a position to be having half an eye on Liverpool because we need all the points we can get. But do you think Liverpool game will be in Potter's mind at all, or do we just have to go full strength every game?
I am just thinking win. Just win. I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't care how you lot are going to do it. Just win. Don't do any stupidness when we go 1-0 up and just instantly throw Conor Gallagher into the mix like it's going to change anything. Just please, just a consistent 90-minute performance. It is all I ask. Because other than the Dortmund game, and even that was a bit shaky, I haven't really seen it. Even that run of games that we had in February, March, I thought was a little bit fake. Like, we're beating teams that we should have been beating. Dortmund never impressed us in the first leg. Should have been all over them in the second. Leeds are Leeds. We're better than them. Should be beating them. Leicester should be beating them. And even that one was a bit shaky. That was, like, I know how we said earlier how we're facing the big test for Potter in terms of our run of games. Nope. Test already came when we had games that we should have been winning. And we got two wins. 2 league wins out of all of that. Now it's just like, I don't know how you're doing it. I don't care. Just go and get the 3 points. Because we're in April and we haven't hit 40. Games aren't getting easier. This is probably the easiest game we've got from now until the end of April when we face Forest and Bournemouth. This is the easy run of games. So let's not make it any harder than it needs to be. Just go there and get the result, please.
It was actually mad. This is probably our easiest game because we've got Liverpool next, then Wolves away, then Madrid, then we've got Brighton and Brentford at home. Like, this is the easiest game, as you say, for quite a while.
Arsenal, City, United, Newcastle.
Yeah, that's going to be really tough for us. I mean, looking ahead to the Villa game in a bit more detail, obviously, hopefully, Reece James will be back. Obviously, had to withdraw from the England camp with a precaution for what was described as a minor hamstring injury. Hopefully, that's just more precautionary than actually a problem. Hopefully, Fofana might be back as well. Had to pull out the squad. He was expected to be out for around 10 days. So he should maybe be back. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But for you, what sort of changes would you be making to the team? Obviously, we would presume we're going to stick with a back 3. Anyone that you particularly like to see play? We saw Madueke have a great cameo from the bench against the France under-21s, where he got a goal and 2 assists. Didn't do as much in the game against Croatia on Tuesday night, I think it was, or Wednesday night, whenever it was. But time to see him get a few more minutes. I mean, Mudryk as well. I mean, what sort of players would you like to see feature?
Mudryk, I still think would be decent off the bench. So can you use him off the bench for once? That would be nice. If Sterling's back, go for it. Havertz, I'm not too sure because he came out of the squad because of a flu infection. I don't know if it's real or not, but if it's real, you probably are better off benching him. Because, I mean, like, if you got a flu and something, I believe it's going to impact your lungs. And if it's going to impact your lungs, playing an intense game like a Premier League match, I don't know if that's the best move for you. So maybe he needs to be on the bench. Reece James, if it's only a precaution, maybe he needs to be on the bench too. Yeah, no Reece James, no Silva again. Yeesh. I don't know. Yeah. That would be what I'd do, but like we don't even know what the real injury situation is because there's so many players that have pulled out. I don't even know if it's legitimate or not.
Yeah, we'll obviously have to wait and see. I think back 3 is, as I said, is going to be a must to continue with. But I mean, we saw Kovacic in on the international break popping up with a few goals. I think he scored 3 goals on the break on international duty. So he seems to be finding some pretty good form, getting some decent goals. I mean, would you just continue with that Enzo Kova pivot? I mean, I don't really think there's any reason not to. I mean, Kante's not going to start this game. We know that. Ruben is not really in good enough form to displace either of those 2 guys. So, I guess we just continue with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Enzo Kova's worked the last few games. Still have a little bit of a question mark over it defensively, but with the back 3, it's not that big of a problem. So I'm fine with that. 100% fine with that. We'll go with that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and just on Kante, obviously he was on the bench against against Everton. We didn't see him. Obviously, perhaps wasn't the right sort of situation for him to come on in. Would you expect him to get some minutes from the bench in this game? I mean, do you think it's situation dependent, or would you just think regardless we're going to have to put him in at some point? There's no point waiting for easier moment, as it were, he's going to have to go back on the football pitch at some point. So we might as well just put him back on in this game. I think it would make sense to give him, 15, 20 minutes?
Yep, this is like the whole Mudryk thing where we ease him back into the squad, but we need the eyes on Real Madrid. Bring him off the bench against Everton. Bring him off the bench against Villa. Like you said, about 15, 20 minutes or so. Bring him on at half-time against Liverpool, for example. Start him against Wolves and then bring him off. And then he should be ready for a full 90 at the Bernabeu. I think that would be the best way you utilize him. There's 3 games building up. You build up his sharpness and you get him ready. Or he doesn't even have to start at the Bernabeu. You could bring him off the bench as a fresher option or something. But the whole main aim is you build up his sharpness, you get him back up to speed.
Yeah, that's got to be the aim. And, I think it's fine. I much prefer us being overcautious with him because so many times we've rushed him back and it's just set us back so long and so many times. So it's good to see us being a bit more cautious with him. But it probably is now time to unleash him. We saw him get 60 minutes in that game at Cobham against the Charlton under-21s, which was specifically for him to just get some minutes in the leg. So that's kind of all pointing to a positive situation. I guess score-wise then, mate, what are we thinking? I guess for me, I'll just take anything really, just any form of win, whether it's 1-0, I don't care how it goes in or who scores it, just win. That's for me. But I guess I've got to be honest, mate, I can see this being another draw, if I'm being realistic. I could see this being another sort of a 1-1 game.
My head says 1-1. My heart says 1-0. I'm probably going to go 1-1. So, yeah, we'll do 1-1 too. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's depressing that, we've going into home games against teams that we should be beating. And, this is where
Villa
I'm
will
at right
be
now.
another one hard to break down.
Mate, they're good as well. I mean, we've gone for a pair of 1-1s. I mean, are there any players on in Villa's team that you sort of, not worry you a little bit, but kind of make you a bit wary? I guess Ollie Watkins is in decent form for them, scoring a few goals. Leon Bailey's half decent. I mean, Coutinho doesn't really get in that team anymore, but they've got some decent. No, I don't think he does, mate.
Oh, what a drop off!
Mad. I mean, do you think we should have enough about us to get that sort of, to get those results? But I don't know. Watkins is a decent player, but let's kind of wait and see what happens on that one. I mean, just briefly, I know we talked about it, but do you think, obviously, with Liverpool on Tuesday, so 3 days, a couple of days after the Villa game, would you, personally for you, would you be looking ahead to that one in terms of your lineup and your substitutions and stuff, or it's just very much one game at a time, just win, and then get to Liverpool and we'll assess the situation then?
Literally just win. Liverpool, 3 days afterwards, that's not going to be pretty, but I don't know. It's all about just getting the 3 points in this one. I don't know. I can't tell with Chelsea anymore. Just realised I was excited for football coming back until we started talking about it. Now it's like,
I guess a slight plus would be that Liverpool have got City away on Saturday as their game, lunchtime kickoff, so about a little bit more time to recover. But they're going to come in off a tough game as well. But yeah, it's not going to be ideal for us. Yeah, 2 aways back to back for them. It's not going to be ideal for us, but let's wait and see what happens. Hopefully we can get a win against Aston Villa, start to build on that momentum we built in March, and hopefully we can kick off April with a win, because as we said at the top of the show, the games don't get any easier this month. This is our easiest one, so we have got to start it with a win. But yeah, that seems like a good place to round out, guys. Thanks for tuning in. As always, make sure you smash the likes on the video, subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV if you haven't done so, and leave your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll catch you again in another episode soon.